Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. There's something truly captivating about the gleam of old American coins, especially when they come with a story that stretches across 2 centuries of national history. Among the most iconic and eye-catching pieces ever released by the United States Mint is the Kennedy half-dollar bearing the dual date of 1776 to 1976. More than just a currency token, this coin represents a powerful moment in American heritage, marking the bicentennial of the nation's independence while also paying tribute to one of its most beloved presidents, John F. Kennedy. As we dive into the details of this fascinating half-dollar, you'll discover why it holds such a special place in the hearts of collectors and historians alike, and how one extraordinary version of this coin stunned the world with its staggering value. Let's set the stage. It was the mid-1970s, and the United States was preparing to celebrate its 200th birthday. In honor of this milestone, the U.S. Mint decided to do something unprecedented. Rather than simply issue a commemorative coin, they would redesign circulating coins to reflect the spirit of 1776 and 1976. The Kennedy half-dollar was one of 3 coins chosen for this transformation, alongside the Eisenhower dollar and the Washington quarter. What made the Kennedy half-dollar stand out was not just its beautiful design, but its emotional depth, featuring a strong portrait of President Kennedy on the front and a new, symbolic reverse showing Independence Hall in Philadelphia, where both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were debated and adopted. The obverse of the coin retained Gilroy Roberts' iconic portrait of President Kennedy, dignified and commanding, as a way to keep the memory of the fallen leader alive in everyday life. But on the reverse, the Mint introduced a fresh image created by Seth G. Huntington, a detailed engraving of Independence Hall under the inscription, 200 Years of Freedom. This design wasn't just historical, it was emotional, inspirational, and educational. Every person who held the coin could feel connected to the ideals that founded the nation. Now, here's where things start to get really interesting. The Kennedy half-dollars minted for the bicentennial celebration came in 2 major compositions: the standard copper-nickel clad for regular circulation, and the special 40% silver versions created for collectors. These silver-clad versions were never released into general circulation and were sold in proof sets and uncirculated sets by the Mint. And because many of these were stored away by collectors, some remain in nearly flawless condition today, making them incredibly desirable to the numismatic community. But condition and composition aren't the only factors that determine a coin's worth. Certain rare varieties and mint eras make specific coins from this era exceptionally valuable. One such variety includes coins with a double die obverse, where slight misalignments in the striking process cause letters or numbers, especially in the "In God We Trust" motto, to appear doubled. Other rarities include off-center strikes, coins struck on long planchets, and those with missing clad layers, which reveal a coppery core that looks completely different from the standard silvery shine. These errors are rare, and they've become the holy grail for serious collectors who hunt through hundreds, sometimes thousands, of coins just for the chance to find one. But it's not just about errors. Grading is crucial, too. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and the closer a coin gets to mint state 70, the more valuable it becomes. A 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar and MS-68 or higher is already considered extremely rare. Combine that with a unique error or special composition, and you've got a coin that can make headlines in the collector world. And believe it or not, some people have found these coins in old rolls, jars, and inherited collections, never knowing the hidden treasure they possessed until a professional appraisal revealed the truth. Many Americans remember the excitement of the bicentennial celebration in 1976, with parades, fireworks, and patriotic displays lighting up cities and small towns alike. This coin was a physical piece of that national pride, something you could hold in your hand that said, "We've come 2 centuries, and we still stand strong." That sentiment, along with the emotional memory of President Kennedy, created a powerful legacy that makes these half-dollars more than just money. They're miniature monuments. So, whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone who just stumbled upon a shiny half-dollar from decades ago, it's worth taking a closer look. Turn it over, examine the details, study the date, and look for signs of rarity. Because among the millions minted, there are a few that stand above the rest, priceless not just for what they're made of, but for the history they represent and the demand they hold in today's market. And now, the jaw-dropping part of this story, one remarkable 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, struck in 40% silver, preserved in pristine condition, and carrying a highly sought-after mint error, was valued by collectors at an incredible $180,000. Top 2. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that is more than just metal. It's a tribute to one of the most pivotal figures in American history, a symbol of pride for an entire state, and a treasure sought after by collectors for over a century. That coin is the United States of America Illinois Centennial half-dollar, minted in 1918. This magnificent piece isn't just a chunk of silver, it tells the story of a century of progress, sacrifice, and national growth, all anchored by the towering legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. And what makes this coin even more captivating is how it weaves together history, artistry, and rarity into a single collectible that has become one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. The year 1918 was a special one for the state of Illinois. It marked the 100th anniversary of Illinois' admission into the Union, and the state wanted a lasting tribute to its centennial. At the time, the U.S. Mint was just beginning to explore commemorative coins as a way of celebrating significant events in American history, and Illinois seized the opportunity. What resulted was the beautifully designed Illinois Centennial half-dollar, a silver coin unlike anything that had been produced before. This coin was not intended for general circulation. Instead, it was made in limited quantities and sold at a premium, with proceeds supporting the centennial festivities and monument construction. The design is nothing short of extraordinary. On the obverse side, you'll find a bold and lifelike portrait of Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by the famed artist George T. Morgan, who is also known for the iconic Morgan silver dollar. But here, Lincoln is shown not as the seated statesman we often see in the Lincoln Memorial, but as a strong, rugged man, bareheaded and direct, reflecting the image of Lincoln as a self-made Illinois pioneer and defender of the Union. It's an intimate, almost raw depiction, and it gives the coin a deeply emotional weight. Around the edge are the inscriptions, "United States of America," and "In God We Trust," with the date 1918 prominently displayed. The reverse is just as striking, showcasing the Illinois state seal, complete with the American eagle clutching a shield, olive branch, and arrows, standing above a banner that reads, "State Sovereignty, National Union." Above it all are the words, "Centennial of the State of Illinois," in proud lettering. The artistic detail on this side of the coin is remarkable. Every feather, every fold of the banner, every line etched into the eagle's outstretched wings captures the fierce spirit and independence of the state. Only about 100,000 of these coins were minted, and far fewer remain today in pristine condition. That rarity is a huge factor in its value, but what really drives collector demand is a combination of historical resonance and aesthetic brilliance. The Illinois Centennial half-dollar was one of the first coins to be both commemorative and artistically ambitious, setting the tone for future commemorative issues. Moreover, because it was not widely circulated, those that do survive in higher grades, especially uncirculated or mint state examples, have become legendary among collectors. And let's talk about condition, because in the world of rare coins, condition is king. Most surviving Illinois half-dollars show signs of handling, environmental wear, or light scratches, which are typical for coins that have been passed through generations. However, on the rare occasion when a coin is found in near-perfect condition, free of blemishes, with strong luster and sharp details, it enters a whole new realm of value. The coin becomes not just a historical artifact, but a museum-quality specimen. And if the coin also features a strong strike, full original luster, and comes with provenance, such as having belonged to a renowned collection, its value skyrockets even further. Over the years, the Illinois half-dollar has steadily risen in value, driven by its limited mintage, historical significance, and collector demand. It has been featured in prestigious auctions and included in the most elite numismatic catalogs. Collectors and historians alike seek it out not just for investment purposes, but because it embodies the intersection of history, patriotism, and the enduring spirit of America. So, the next time you're flipping through a coin collection or come across a vintage piece that looks like something out of the early 20th century, pay attention to the details. Look for that rugged Lincoln face, that proud Illinois eagle, and the date 1918. Because you just might be holding on to a hidden gem that tells the story of a nation and a state that helped shape it. And if that Illinois centennial half-dollar from 1918 happens to be in exceptional condition, flawless and gleaming, with the craftsmanship of Morgan untouched by time, it could be valued today at a breathtaking $380,000. Top 3. In the rich tapestry of American coinage, there are few pieces that capture the soul of a nation quite like the Kennedy half-dollar. Introduced in the wake of a nation's grief, this coin was more than just a new design. It was a symbol of honor, remembrance, and resilience. And among these commemorative pieces, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar holds a unique and fascinating place in numismatic history. It might seem like just another coin from the 70s to the untrained eye, but for collectors and enthusiasts who truly understand its background, rarity, and nuances, the 1973 edition carries an unexpected level of prestige, and in some very rare cases, tremendous monetary value. To truly appreciate the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, we need to journey back to its origin. Following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963, the U.S. Mint moved with unprecedented speed to honor the fallen president with a new half-dollar design. By March 1964, the first Kennedy half-dollars were in circulation, and they were met with overwhelming public demand. People hoarded them as keepsakes, mementos of a moment in history that deeply touched the American heart. The coin instantly became more than just a medium of exchange, it became a tribute to a legacy. Now, fast forward a decade later to 1973. The Kennedy half-dollar was still in production, but the landscape around it had changed. No longer struck in silver for general circulation, the coin was now composed primarily of copper nickel clad. But 1973 marked a very particular shift in how the coin was distributed. That year, the Mint made a crucial decision. Kennedy half-dollars were not released for general circulation. Instead, they were produced solely for collectors and sold through special mint sets and proof sets. This meant that if you weren't intentionally collecting coins in 1973, you likely never saw this half-dollar in everyday transactions. That simple fact has made this coin far scarcer in pristine condition compared to other years from that decade. The design itself remains iconic. The obverse features Gilroy Roberts' striking portrait of President John F. Kennedy, with his profile sharply defined and eyes gazing into the future. It's a design that radiates dignity, strength, and hope. Around the top are the words, "Liberty," while below Kennedy's neck rests the word, "In God We Trust," and the year, 1973, etched proudly. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, is equally powerful. The presidential seal, an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 stars. It's not just beautiful, it's patriotic in the deepest sense. What makes the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar particularly attractive to collectors, however, is the limited way in which it was distributed. Since they weren't put into everyday change, most Americans never had a chance to spend or save them from daily use. The only way to acquire one was through a mint set, which naturally meant fewer were produced, and even fewer survived in mint condition. And here's where things get really interesting. Some of these coins, particularly those that were impeccably preserved or struck with unusual precision, have become exceptionally valuable. Now, rarity on its own isn't always enough to elevate a coin's value into the stratosphere. What truly drives up the worth of a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar are those rare examples with exceptional qualities: flawless surfaces, deep mirror-like fields in the proof versions, or unusually strong strikes with crisp details. There have even been instances where a coin has featured a minting error or die variety, making it a unique specimen. Combine that with the growing appreciation for historical coinage from the late 20th century, and you have a perfect storm for skyrocketing value. Over the years, collectors have scoured estate sales, coin shows, and online auctions in search of the best examples of this elusive coin. And when a pristine, high-grade 1973 Kennedy half-dollar shows up, especially one that has been authenticated and graded by a respected service like PCGS or NGC, it draws serious attention. For some collectors, owning one of these isn't just about adding to a collection. It's about owning a piece of presidential history, a tangible reminder of a man who inspired millions and left an indelible mark on American identity. The Kennedy half-dollar, in all its forms, continues to captivate the imagination of collectors young and old. But the 1973 edition, with its limited release and collector-only status, holds a special allure. It speaks to a moment in time when the country was shifting, still healing from the scars of the 60s, and looking toward a new era. Holding one of these coins is like holding a time capsule of American hope, pride, and memory. And if you're fortunate enough to come across a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar in pristine, gem-quality condition, flawless in its finish, rich in detail, and perfectly preserved, you could be holding a numismatic treasure worth as much as $160,000. Top 4. Among the many coins produced by the United States Mint, the Kennedy half-dollar stands out not just for its design or denomination, but for its powerful symbolism and the emotional story it carries. The 1971 Kennedy half-dollar, in particular, holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, a coin that reflects a nation in transition, the end of an era in American coinage, and a legacy that continues to capture the hearts of collectors around the world. While millions were minted, not all were created equal, and some, due to exceptional quality or rare minting quirks, have become hidden treasures worth far more than anyone might expect from a 50-cent piece. The journey of this iconic coin is one that deserves a closer look. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, less than a year after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The country was still mourning the loss of a young and vibrant leader, and the decision to immortalize him on the half-dollar was met with overwhelming public support. It quickly became more than just currency, it became a cherished symbol of national grief and remembrance. For years, these coins were hoarded by citizens, collected as keepsakes rather than spent, and the image of Kennedy on a circulating coin became a powerful emblem of American resilience and unity. But 1971 marked a major turning point for the Kennedy half-dollar. Up until 1970, the coin had been minted with a 40% silver composition for collector sets. Starting in 1971, however, the mint removed all silver content from the coin. This made the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar the first to be struck entirely in copper-nickel clad for circulation, a composition that is still used today. While the coin remained visually identical, this change was monumental in the world of U.S. coinage. It represented the final shift away from silver circulating coins in the United States, closing a chapter that began with the Coinage Act of 1792. The obverse of the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar continues to feature Gilroy Roberts' stately profile of President Kennedy. His likeness is crisp and commanding, surrounded by the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and the date 1971 boldly placed below. On the reverse side, Frank Gasparo's powerful design of the presidential seal, a majestic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, remains a symbol of strength and peace. This design has endured for decades and is instantly recognizable, even to those with only a casual interest in coins. What many don't realize is that while over 350 million 1971 Kennedy half-dollars were minted, only a small fraction have survived in perfect or near-perfect condition. Most were heavily circulated, scratched, or worn down over time. But a select few, especially those that were preserved straight from the mint or produced with unique die varieties or striking errors, have emerged as standout examples. These rare specimens can be astonishingly valuable, particularly when authenticated and graded at the highest levels by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. Collectors and enthusiasts know that it isn't just about rarity, it's about condition, historical significance, and the story behind the coin. A flawless 1971 Kennedy half-dollar with brilliant uncirculated luster, deep mirror-like fields, and razor-sharp details is a true rarity. Some coins even exhibit unique errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet flaws, all of which increase their desirability and market value. It's these exceptional features that can turn a coin originally worth 50 cents into something worth thousands, or in extraordinary cases, much more. The market for high-grade Kennedy half-dollars has been heating up in recent years, as collectors look to preserve key pieces of American history. More and more attention is being paid to coins from the 1970s, especially those that mark turning points in U.S. minting practices. As a result, demand for pristine 1971 Kennedy half-dollars has soared, and some have fetched staggering prices at auction. These aren't just coins, they're artifacts of a transformational time in the American story, and owning one is like holding a tangible piece of that legacy. So, the next time you come across a Kennedy half-dollar, take a moment to appreciate its meaning. And if you're lucky enough to discover a 1971 edition in exceptional condition, whether tucked away in a forgotten drawer, inherited in a collection, or hidden in plain sight, it could be far more valuable than you imagine. In fact, some of the finest examples of the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar have been appraised and sold for as much as $170,000. Top 5. In the fascinating world of American coinage, the Kennedy half-dollar holds a place of honor, not just for its striking design, but for the deep emotional history it represents. Introduced in 1964, shortly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, this coin quickly became more than just a medium of exchange. It became a national tribute, a symbol of remembrance, and a cherished keepsake for millions of Americans. Among the many years this coin was minted, the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar stands out as an intriguing and often underestimated treasure. For many collectors, it's a sleeper coin, one that at first glance might seem common, but can, under the right conditions, turn out to be a numismatic jackpot. The year 1983 was a time of economic growth, shifting culture, and expanding technology in the United States. While Americans were busy navigating the Reagan era, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins for everyday use. The Kennedy half-dollar of that year was struck at two major facilities, the Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint. Notably, there were no half-dollars issued for circulation in 1982 or 1983 in U.S. mint sets due to a government cost-cutting measure, which means that the 1983 half-dollars that exist today were all released directly into circulation. This significantly reduced the number of high-grade, uncirculated examples, since collectors had no access to mint-condition versions unless they were pulled from circulation early. The obverse of the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar features the strong and elegant profile of President Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. The expression on his face is calm yet determined, a reflection of the hope he brought to the nation during his presidency. Around the edge are the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1983, all spaced in balanced symmetry that gives the coin its timeless look. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, we see the presidential seal, an eagle with a shield on its chest, grasping arrows in one claw and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing America's readiness for both war and peace. This image is surrounded by the words, "United States of America," and "half-dollar," completing the coin's noble appearance. Now here's where things get especially interesting. Because 1983 Kennedy half-dollars were not available in official mint sets and were only released into circulation, most of them suffered wear and tear from day-to-day use. That means finding a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar in pristine, uncirculated condition is exceptionally difficult. Add to that the fact that the planchets used that year sometimes exhibited striking inconsistencies, and you have a perfect storm for valuable variety coins. Some rare examples have been discovered with striking errors, such as off-center designs, doubling on the lettering or date, or unusual planchet compositions. These are the kinds of details that make collectors' eyes light up. The condition of a coin plays a critical role in its value. While a typical 1983 Kennedy half-dollar might be worth its face value or a few dollars in circulated condition, a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect state, one graded MS-67 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can fetch staggering sums on the open market. The luster, strike quality, and sharpness of detail become vital factors, and coins that possess all these features become instant highlights in any serious collector's showcase. Another contributing factor to the desirability of the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar is its relative scarcity among high-grade coins. Unlike coins from other years that benefited from wide release in collector sets, the 1983 release is often overlooked, which means fewer people held on to them. But savvy collectors who recognized this anomaly early on were able to secure uncirculated examples, and these coins have since seen a sharp rise in value. So what does this all mean for you, the viewer? It means that if you happen to stumble upon a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, don't dismiss it. Look closely. Does it shine like new? Are there unique markings, a flawless surface, or a striking error that sets it apart? If so, you may be holding on to something very special. And while many 1983 Kennedy half-dollars remain ordinary coins, a rare few, those with perfect preservation, unusual varieties, or compelling flaws, have reached sky-high prices at auctions and in private sales. In fact, one particularly pristine and rare 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, known for its exceptional grade and remarkable visual appeal, was sold to a passionate collector for an astounding $145,000.